The Beginner's Guide to Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is 67. He's been an MP since 1983 for Islington North in London. Last year he was made leader of the Labour Party in quite unusual circumstances, in that never has a political party leader had such a mandate from the people within the party, within the Labour Party in this case. His scale of victory was much greater than, for instance, Tony Blair's in 1994. But also unusually, never has a political leader of a party in this country drawn such kind of animosity from his own members of parliament. So he was very prominent in the Stop the War coalition. Now, given the findings of the Chilcot report, which have been published very recently, it shows an extraordinary foresight, some prescience on his part. He was right all the way along. He told us also. On several issues, what are Jeremy Corbyn's policies? He wants to renationalise the railways. 60% of the country want that happening. 20% don't want it happening. The other 20% don't know what they want. But there's a huge desire for the general public to have the railways renationalised. Jeremy Corbyn endorses a 75% top rate of income tax for those people earning over £1 million. Well, for anybody watching this, that's kind of good for us. He wants an international convention to ban nuclear weapons. Lots of people agree with that. He wants to put rent controls on landlords. There's few people, I think, to quote here, 8% of the people disagree with that. I should imagine most of them are landlords. Mandatory living wage. He wants to impose a mandatory living wage, an increased mandatory living wage, to give us something to live on properly, not to be below the subsistence line. And he wants to cut tuition fees as well. Most people in the country who have expressed an opinion agree with that entirely. And he's opposed to the bombing of Syria. What's happened with Jeremy Corbyn recently? What actually can we judge? What's the quantitative values of what he's delivered to this country so far? Since 2015, within the Labour Party's moved from the day before the last general election in May 2015, the Labour Party had a membership of just over 200,000. By January, that had risen to over 380,000. It had nearly doubled. Earlier on in July this year, just 2 months ago from now, it had risen to 515,000. Tony Blair at his peak only had 405,000 members. This bloke is popular, more Jeremy Corbyn than Tony Blair ever was within the Labour Party electorate. William Hills have got him at 20-1 on to win the Labour Party leadership ballot. Then Paddy Power aren't taking bets. The bloke should be a shoo-in, absolutely, incredibly popular. In summary, Jeremy Corbyn is vastly experienced, he's unafraid to do what he thinks is right, no matter what the colour of the person who's proposing something or other. He's got absolutely massive support within the Labour Party and is incredibly in tune with public feeling. He's a member magnet for the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn is nothing but good for the Labour Party. Don't believe anything else that people tell you. 515,000 2 months ago. That's going to be 550,000 now. Let's move on to the Labour Party, founded in 1900. It's been the last time the Labour Party had power in this country was in 2010 under Gordon Brown, since when the Conservatives have been in power. The Labour Party is described as a centre-left broad church. A jargon, but we'll just kind of carry on. It's meant to be the working man's party, inverted commas. Now, so one might imagine that in addition to the membership, the MPs would be fairly and squarely behind Jeremy Corbyn and hooping and hollering for this bloke who's the working man's politician. But it's far from it. So we have to distinguish between the membership of the Labour Party and the PLP, the Parliamentary Labour Party, those 232 politicians who've been voted to represent us in Parliament at a constituency level and within the party as well in a lot of cases. So unlike the membership, the PLP are quite against Jeremy Corbyn. He's got a lot of good supporters within Parliament, but basically they had a vote of no confidence in him, and that went 172 to 80 against Jeremy Corbyn. Thus, it's triggered a leadership ballot. It's all become very, very untidy, with kind of Labour members have been pushed out, The anti-Corbynites have said that basically people who support Jeremy Corbyn are idiots. I've been told that I know nothing and never have. Trotskyists would be called Nazi stormtroopers in the newspapers. This is just, apart from it's wrong, it's nasty, it's horrible. Why? I'm going to show you some diagrams of the way the Labour Party's changed, which may illustrate a little bit about why this has happened. We can see that over the last 40 years, the Labour Party has moved from what we call a left party economically. These axes, by the way, on the horizontal axis you've got the traditional economic left-right axis, where at the left-hand side you have a highly regimented government supervision of economic affairs. To the right, where it's completely laissez-faire, free market, General Pinochet, greed, for the want of another word, is good. I don't want to put too much of an inflection on this, but greed is good for very rich people. Greed's not very good for 80% of the people in this country, especially for the poorest 55%. Anywho, at the bottom of the graph you'll see social politics. At the bottom of the graph you'll see what we call libertarianism, people who basically two blokes can hold hands in the street and there'll be no wall built to keep Mexicans out. At the top you've got a lot of prisons. Again, at the top it's great for people like Richard Branson, it's not very good for people like us. And you can see that the Labour Party's moved from the place of the working man to zoom right alongside where the Conservatives have been, and they're almost indistinguishable. So this may be an indication why Labour MPs don't want Jeremy Corbyn, because Jeremy Corbyn, well, let's have a look at some more figures, some more kind of political compasses, as it were. And we can see in the 2015 election that the Labour Party has basically in the top right, along there with the Conservatives. Only the Green Party occupied the spot where the Labour Party traditionally have occupied in the past, a position of rationality I'd call it. And again you can see, if you want to compare where certain individuals sit on this graph, we can see in the bottom left hand corner there, we can see Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, and well, surprisingly, in the top right-hand corner, people you'd think were actually left-wing, people who were libertarians and people who were nice. Barack Obama in 2012 has moved right over the top right. So, these figures aren't perfect, but they're a pretty good guide. They're as good as we've got. Now, they're from the political compass, and you can take the test yourself on the political compass to see where you sit, and I recommend you do it. It takes a bit of time, but there's no adverts. And I can guarantee you that Jeremy Corbyn's down in this bottom right-hand corner with all of us lot. There's a lot of good people who, if they knew about Jeremy Corbyn, would vote for him. I was going to do a piece on the media, in addition to Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party, but I ended up writing, the media have little or no place in the public's understanding of what Jeremy Corbyn actually is. Jeremy Corbyn people have started paying attention to him, have realised that the media presents a very, very warped picture of Jeremy Corbyn for reasons which, if you kind of look into it, you will find out. But I want to tell you about Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party, and about Momentum. Momentum was a group founded a year ago by John Landsman, just less than a year ago, to support Jeremy Corbyn in his Labour leadership. And it's a kind of grassroots movement for the Labour Party, and I wish to emphasise it's a Labour Party movement. You cannot be a member of Momentum without being a member of the Labour Party. We're here for the Labour Party. So those of you in the Labour Party who don't like Jeremy Corbyn for some reason, we're here for you. You can embrace us. We can have our differences, but come on. Nationally, the Momentum organisation has gone from absolute strength to strength, and we have a code of ethics, which I'll put a link to, but to dilute those 5 or 6 pages down into a 2-word phrase, it's be nice. Go and see Jeremy Corbyn on the 10th of September if he's in Featherstone. Watch this space. Our Pontefract Momentum's short-term objective is to get Jeremy Corbyn installed in a secure place at the top of the Labour leadership. Our slightly longer-term objective is to get Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party voted into power at the next general election. Jeremy Corbyn will make this country safer, richer and better for everybody. We're as mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. Anyway, I hope you've gleaned something from that. I hope I've not been too partisan about it. They're the facts about Jeremy Corbyn. If you have any questions, come to the Facebook group. It's an open church. Even if you're critical, just answer the questions, be fair, and you'll get a welcome, whatever your stripe. We have meetings every two weeks on a Monday night at Pontefract Sports and Social Club, and let's go Jeremy Corbyn. We are not bad people.